The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised. Caution. You are now entering the all-consuming realm of Shay's Paranormal Chat, where the things that are better left unsaid are actually said.
Shut up and sit down.
You're listening to Shay's Paranormal Chat. Paranormal podcasting done Shay's way. Tons of fun.
Dude, seriously?
A bit sarcastic.
Hashtag investigator, not hunter.
But always real.
Hashtag data, not evidence.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
Oh my god, really?
This is real, raw conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everybody. TGIF as always. I hope everybody is ready for an awesome show. Very excited. And, of course, we have the beautiful Kelly Mercarival. How you doing, Kelly?
I'm tired, but I'm here.
That's
it's been a long week. All this vacationing has kicked my ass.
Oh,
I
it
need
does.
a vacation.
You need a vacation from the
I
vacation.
need a vacation.
Yep, I hear you. Give a couple shout-outs here to the first people in chat. I see Kim, Allison, Matt, Darren. So, those are the first ones in there. Thank you for joining us. Kelly, can you believe it's our last show of season 3?
I don't know how this happened, because it's like we just started, and now you're closing us down for season 3. I mean, it's craziness.
I know.
We got a lot of shows. We bypassed our 100th show.
Yeah.
We got a lot going.
And
had a lot of awesome guests.
We did. I have a feeling, though, we might have saved the best guest for last.
It's at least one I know what he's talking about.
That's right. So, guys, tonight we have author, psychic, paranormal investigator, and motorcyclist. I want to hear how all these things mix together. Mr. John Russell, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Shay, Kelly, it's great to be on with you. It's great to meet you, and I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, I appreciate you rescheduling last week. Yeah, that was
not
crazy.
A problem.
Yes, I saw a few other different shows had the same issue, so I didn't feel so bad.
For about a week or so, it seemed like shows were just falling left and right, having to reschedule left and right with all kinds of technical difficulties. So yeah. I don't know what was going on, but we're here now.
That's right. That is right.
I'd blame it on the retrogrades, but I think we're just heading into them, not getting done with them. So
there you go.
I don't know, Kelly. I kind of liked your answer before we started about the tombs. I really think you're onto something.
Oh yeah. Okay, so here's my theory, folks. The world has gone to hell in a handbasket because we keep discovering these new Egyptian tombs and we just open them. Like, we've learned nothing from the past. Let's bust in. Oh, hey, here's a cool new tomb. Let's bust into it. And oh, by the way, let's break open the sarcophagus. Have we learned nothing? Leave them alone. Just leave them alone.
Bringing those curses down on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? Quit angering the gods, people.
That's
it.
That's it.
Man.
That's as good a reason as any I've heard.
Right?
No.
Right?
There was one that they just found, and I can't even remember where it was, where they found like 13 sarcophagi in there, and they're like, let's start busting them open. And I don't know why that one went beyond the kind of. I always get a little frustrated with it, but that one I was honestly like almost mad about, and I almost responded because I'm a bitch most of the time. Sorry, I almost put in there. How would you feel if I went out and dug up your grandma and broke into her coffin?
Right?
Because hey, let's see what's in there. You know.
There you go. There you go.
Yep. I agree with that.
Anyhow, sorry. There is my rant for the day.
Well, it's a good rant.
I'm sure it won't be the last. We take turns, so.
On the upside, though, they do find some really cool stuff in there, and I get the desire, but couldn't do it.
I couldn't either.
My own Egyptian soul would kick my butt.
Yeah. Oh, man. I was just seeing what everybody's talking about in chat. John, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself since we went off on a little tangent there?
Since we hit stall and didn't know what the hell we were talking about?
Sure. And if you want me to amplify on any of this, I can, but the short version is I discovered my link, the opening of the portal to the paranormal when I was about 5 years old. And when that portal opened up, since then I have had well over 1,000 paranormal experiences. Those are physical manifestations that have actually occurred on the physical realm. A lot of times we have recorded them, audio or video, photographed them. Other people have experienced them with me, so there have been multiple witnesses to these things. When I was a little over 5, about 6 maybe, I discovered my psychic gift as a result of that portal opening up, and I discovered that I could tell people where they'd been, what they'd been doing, what their futures were going to be, and made accurate predictions for their futures, had accurate insights into their lives. And then from there, I began to study everything I could get my hands on, and practiced everything I could get my hands on, and I began to develop and hone my gift. And by the time I was early teens, I was reading for friends and family, giving psychic readings for friends and family. And then by the time I was 18, I began doing it professionally. And now next year it'll be 50 years I've been reading professionally.
Up until the last statement, you were darn close. I was like, damn, he's describing me pretty well.
Right? He really does. His bio reads, it reminded me a lot of you. That's why I think you guys have a lot in common.
Yeah, so that's basically me in a nutshell. And then last year in September, I published my first book. And in February of this year, I published my second book. And I'm writing on a third. And we can get into those, talk about those a little bit as we go. But that's basically who I am.
That's
excellent.
That's pretty cool.
So a couple questions on that. I mean, just in case people aren't sure kind of what you meant.
Sure.
When you say a portal opened up for you, what was that like? What did you experience? Well,
when I was 5, I was sound asleep in my bed, and my parents had put a nightlight down the hall so I could see if I had to get up at night. My bedroom door was open, and I woke up in the middle of the night suddenly wide awake, absolutely just completely wide awake. And I thought, well, this is really strange. And I raised up on my elbows in bed and just kind of looked around my room. And I looked down the hallway out of my bedroom door. And in one of the doorways down the hallway, there was this elderly black gentleman. And he was peering around the doorway, looking at me, looking into the bedroom, looking at me. And I screamed bloody murder because we're white and we didn't have anyone black living with us. So my assumption was an intruder had somehow entered the home. So when I screamed, he walked around the doorway and walked down the hallway toward my bedroom door, locking eyes with me. And I can tell you what he looked like. He had close-cropped white hair. He had a white mustache. He was as solid as you or I. He had on a red flannel shirt, plaid shirt, with khaki pants, black belt, black shoes. And I screamed bloody murder again. And when I did, my parents came running. And then he began to disappear. He first became kind of translucent, then he became kind of transparent, and starting from the feet up, he began to vanish like a mist till he was all gone. His head vanished last. And my parents came in and tried to console me, and I told them there's somebody in the house. Somebody's broken in the house. And my fright was so real that my dad was around, and he looked under every bed, looked in the closets, checked on the windows, everything. And, of course, the house was pure. And then it dawned on me what I had seen. I had just seen ghosts. That gentleman, that experience opened a portal to all these subsequent paranormal experiences in my life. That's when I began to have those experiences. And well, that was the beginning of all the paranormal manifestations I began to experience. And his sole reason for being there apparently was just hey kid, this is your gift. Time to wake it up. Time to open up these portals. You begin to experience this. And then his work was done. And as far as I know, I've never seen him again since. I can also add, I've never been scared of anything. In spite of all the experiences I've had, I've been scarred a few times, but I've never been scared again. And the only reason I was scared then is, I was a young kid and I assumed somebody had broken into the house.
And I think that what you just said there is such a huge factor, because it's not that we're scared of what we've experienced. It's that it startled us. We weren't expecting this. And,
right.
I've explained that to people before when I'm teaching classes or doing a lecture, is that, I'm going to jump the same way when I see them as I would if I'm walking through a building and I turn a corner and there's a real physical person in front of me that I wasn't expecting, Exactly right.
Sorry, I'm working on the chat. Yeah, we have some interference that's happening once in a while, guys. So for you guys listening,
I wonder. I'm gonna go stop my dryer and just make sure that it's not me.
Okay. All right.
Be right back.
Yeah. See, I'm not a psychic or a medium or anything, but I hear the stories from Kelly all the time, and I always find them so interesting because I can't even imagine it happening. I mean, I saw something with my own eyes one time, and that was it. So I can't imagine living this every day.
Yeah, this is something that, excuse me, this is normal life for me. This is the way I've been since I was a kid. And there isn't a day goes by hardly that I don't have some type of paranormal experience. Some of them are absolutely bizarre and dramatic, just unreal. Some of them are mundane. And even the mundane ones I don't really consider mundane, because think of the energy that it takes for the other side to communicate with us or to manifest something or whatever.
Exactly.
But nearly every day that goes by, there's something. And it's just the only way I've ever known how to live. It's absolutely normal to me. And I can't imagine living any other way, not having that communication, that connection with the other side, and not having all these experiences, and not having my psychic gift and knowing the things I do about people. I can't imagine not having that, not living that way.
Kelly, you can't imagine it either, right?
I can't imagine if I hadn't figured out how to shut it down from time to time, because I'm pretty sure I'd have lost my mind. Did you ask the question that Darren was asking?
I haven't got to any questions in the chat yet.
Okay.
There's a couple good ones in there.
Yeah, kind of what you were just saying would just made me wonder, and this is kind of what we were just talking about. Do you find that you have a hard time in big public crowds and can't avoid reading people's thoughts, feelings, emotions?
I don't have a problem with it. Excuse me. I don't try and shut it down. I've never been able to successfully shut it down. It's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, forever. And it doesn't overwhelm me. And I guess because it's been so active and so intense from such an early age, it's just been normal to me, and it doesn't overwhelm me. And I do that when I get out in public. I do read people. I do know what's going on in their lives and things like that. And very, very seldom does that ever really bother me. There have been, probably I can name them on one hand. There have been a few occasions that my wife and I have been out to eat in a restaurant. For example, the restaurant was really crowded, and I would look across the table at her and say, "It's getting a little intense in here," because the energy from everyone and what I was picking up from everyone was becoming a little overwhelming. It wasn't anything I couldn't handle or anything too uncomfortable, but it was just a little intense. And I feel that from time to time. But otherwise, It's for me, it's pretty much all the experiences stay pretty much in my feeling, my viewpoint, on an even keel as far as what I actually experience and go through.
Sorry. We're just trying to fix the technical stuff here.
Yeah, sounds like it was better. They could hear, and for whatever reason, we couldn't. So
yes, I think it's better. So, I have trouble going in public places myself. So, different reasons, but.
And mine's just a personal. It's just a personal choice, you know. It's. I feel like. Yeah, if I didn't put my bubble up around me and stop the messages and the feelings and everything from coming, yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I just feel like that's their personal stuff. And maybe it's because I'm hiding my own crap and I don't want people taking into me. Then, you know.
That could be. Darren wants to know, what's the strangest reading you've ever done?
That's an easy one. The strangest reading I have ever done was I had a new client. I did not know this person. And when I began the reading, I said, the first thing I'm getting is your son deceased? Because I'm feeling like there's this vast gulf between the two of you, this vast distance. And I don't mean like a move distance, a physical distance on earth. I feel like there's this vast spiritual distance, like this big gap between you two, like he's on the other side. So I said, is your son deceased? And he said, no. I said, okay. So I said, well, why the reason for that feeling of this great distance or this great gulf between you two? And he couldn't really give me any satisfactory answers. So we went on with the reading, and he had several questions he wanted to get in. And so we're talking, and I said, is your son dead? Is your son on the other side? And he tells me again, no. Okay, so we went on with the reading, and then a little bit later I said, I'm sorry, I just have to tell you again, I just have to impress on you. And I get the feeling that your son is on the other side, and you're telling me your son's not dead, but I get this feeling. Is your son alive? Is he? And he says again, my son's not dead. And I'm like, okay. So we get through the reading, get to the end of it, and I ask him how things went and his viewpoint, because by now I'm bumfuzzled. And he said, it was a great reading. It was a really good reading and everything. And he said, but I just wished you had talked more about my dead son and tried to communicate more with my dead son. And I'm like, what? and I was so gobsmacked at that point, I couldn't even talk to him or question him, because I specifically said, I feel like your son's on the other side. And he kept saying no. And then at the end of the reading, he goes, well, I wish you could have talked more about my dead son. And I had to go in the reading, get ready for my next client. So I didn't have any real chance to dig into it and really question him or anything. And he didn't seem inclined to offer any kind of explanation. So I was like, okay, all righty then. So that was about the strangest experience I've had doing a reading.
Well, that's so silly. I mean,
isn't that bizarre?
And I could get it if he was like not telling you it in the aspect of seeing if you could pick up on your own, but obviously you had picked up on it on your own. So
right.
Why wouldn't you?
And he denies it like 4 times in the reading, and I'm like, well, this is the strangest thing I've ever experienced. And then he goes, well, I wish you'd told me more about my dead son. You said your son wasn't dead. It's like, so that was bizarre. Yeah.
It's crazy the things that people choose to share or choose to hold back during a reading, and it's okay.
So that was about the oddest one.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to keep going with a few questions here from chat, because we're getting quite a few of them in there. Do you ever? I'm going to elaborate on this. So his question was actually, do you read your wife about the future? But I want to elaborate that to, can you get information about you and or your wife, like the people closest to you, whether it be current or future stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do all the time. I read for myself. I read for friends and family, everybody that's close to me. I read for my wife, and I'm able to see that absolutely.
And how does she take that when you tell her something?
Well, if it's not what she wants to hear, not too well. Like most of us, we all want to hear that, the great grand thing we want is going to happen, everything's going to be okay and all this and all that. And so if I have to tell her something a little contrary wise, she's like everybody else, like, well, that's not what I wanted to hear. But, she's been with me long enough now to know that I'm the real deal and to know that what I predict happens and my insights are correct. So, but that doesn't ease the pain of when I tell her something that she's hoping not to hear, for example.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's never fun when we get the answers. It's like, well, that's not the answer I wanted.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. So when you said, sorry, I'm going to go back because I know there's a couple more questions in chat, but
that's okay.
I'm going to throw in some of my own on occasion here. So when you were doing your introduction, you said that you had a bunch of physical, can't remember the word you said. So
physical manifestations of the paranormal, yeah.
That's what I was going to say, but I couldn't remember if that's what you'd said.
Right.
So are you talking that you always see them like a person, or what? Let me narrow down my question, I guess. There's a million different abilities that fall into the term psychic. What would you say your actual abilities are? Well,
they're wide and varied. It comprises a lot of things. I do psychometry. I see ghosts. I do paranormal investigations. I do reading. I make accurate predictions. I have insights to people's lives. I'm able to practice psychokinesis. I do dream interpretation. I do lucid dreaming. I work with the tarot. I've worked with Ouija boards. I've worked with crystals, with scrying, with healing. Just a huge wide variety of things. And the reason that I did that was because I observed when I was young, I observed so many people that would limit themselves to one particular thing and say, oh, well, I'm this, but I'm not that. And so I thought, well, if you have a spiritual gift, then you should expand that spiritual gift to as many genres as you can, as your talent or abilities or whatever you're given allows you to. And so I just began to experiment and explore everything. And there wasn't anything that I stopped myself at or said that I couldn't do. And so, obviously, we're better at some things than we are at others.
Exactly. Yep.
But I cover the gamut of just about everything. I do spirit photography. I do EVP. I do, I don't put a limit on it.
No, I like hearing you say that, because I know people ask me that question all the time, and I give them an answer that's kind of funny, but I mean it. I say that I lovingly refer to myself as a mutt because I can do a little bit of everything, but my primary ability, seems to be this. But yeah, I think that what you said, there's so much truth to that people try to fit themselves in a box of, I'm this label and this is what I can do. And again, when I'm teaching classes or teaching people how to tap into their intuition, it's like, don't limit yourself to a definition of
exactly of
what somebody else has decided this ability is. And so often it pours from one into the next.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It flows from one thing into the other, like you're saying. And look, we have all these new age buzzwords, like channeling. Well, channeling actually is just really a fancy mediumship if you get down to it. The spiritualists were quote unquote channeling when they were in trance mediumship. And so we have all these new age terminologies that come about that basically mean the same thing as the old terms, but somebody comes along, puts a new term on it, throws a new term on it, starts a religion, starts a movement, charges money, writes a book, and then there you go, this is the next best thing. But it's been around for a long, long time.
So how did your family, how did your parents feel about this when you started telling them, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm feeling? Was it fairly well accepted, or did they kind of tell you, hey, don't talk about that, people are going to think you're crazy?
Well, no, it was accepted within my family by most of my family. Most of my ancestors were believers and experiencers and may have had a little psychic ability. I'm the strongest of anyone in my family. But the way I grew up, it was embraced, especially with my mother. With my father, he was kind of like a quasi-closet believer, maybe. I think he had scared him. He was a really tough guy, a seriously tough guy. But the paranormal realm was unseen, and it could do things that he couldn't control, manipulate, fight, handle. So it scared him, because it was something that he couldn't physically dominate or physically deal with. So, and also, he had grown up in a very religious family, and he had seen what the church could do to people that believed in the paranormal and how condemning they could be. So that kind of shied him away from things. So he kind of stayed in the background about things, but he experienced them almost as much as we did. And it would really freak him out. It would really give him a hard time. But I was encouraged to embrace my gifts, to activate my gifts. And we had a very active household. We got to the point that we used to do mediumistic circles and have people in, and we would have healing circles, sessions for people, and do all of these things. And then eventually it got to the point while I was still living at home, I had people that would come. Some people would drive 200 miles one way to get a reading with me. I had developed a little bit of a reputation, and so it was really encouraged. But then early on, I'll tell you a really funny incident. Early on, shortly after the portal opens up here, the way I became aware of my psychic gift, I was about 6 years old, I guess, and I was out in the backyard playing, and this car pulled into the driveway with people that I didn't recognize. I didn't know them, and I didn't know the car. So I went inside the house to get my parents. I said, "Hey, somebody's pulling the driveway. I don't know who it is." So they came out. "Oh, these are friends of ours." So they walked out into the backyard, walked out to the driveway, meet this couple, and talk to them. And they were all just standing outside talking before they went in. And I was standing playing with some. I looked up at the people and interrupted the conversation, and I said, "You guys just went on vacation." And I said, "You took that car over there, that car in the driveway, you drove that car. But I said, you had 2 kids with you. I said, they're not with you today, but you took kids with you in that car on the vacation. And you went to this hotel, it was 2 stories, and it looked like this, and it was painted white, and it had these kinds of trees in the front, and the back area, it had a pool area, and this is how the pool looked and everything." Well, the guy was standing there just kind of with his head cocked, kind of semi-laughing or something, like he was like, "What is this, a Twilight Zone episode?" But his wife, her jaw was down lower and lower, and her eyes were bulging out more and more. And my mother was like, "Be quiet, be quiet." And I just kept talking, telling them this. And this woman looked at me, and she looked at my parents, and she goes, "How the hell could he possibly know this?" And my mother said, "Oh, well, kids and their imaginations." And she goes, "No, how the hell could he know this? We just went on vacation, and that's what we came over to tell you, was all about the vacation. And we took our car, we took our 2 kids with us. With the motel that we stayed at, or hotel, was exactly like John described it. Same color, same appearance, same type of trees out front, the pool area in the back and everything. How the hell could he possibly know this?" And my mother said something to the effect, "Oh, well, kids will be kids." And the woman's still staring at me like I got cobras growing out of my ears. And my dad's like, "John, hush, go play." I'm like, "Okay." "Nice to meet you, folks." And off I went, and they were staring at me like I was something that had just landed from outer space. So there were some funny times growing up. I don't recall those people ever coming back to visit again either.
Well, they figured they didn't need to stop over and tell you about vacation because you knew. So
there you go. Yeah, I think I kind of put a little fright in them. I think I kind of freaked them out a little bit. So I could be a pretty freaky little guy, I guess, with that gift. And but that was normal for me, and I didn't realize how much it freaked other people out until I got older and got smart enough to go, "Oh, not everybody's like this. Not everybody understands this." So.
And to you, it was just another day. It was just like no problem saying it because
absolutely.
You were just like,
normal stuff.
You don't realize you're being different than anybody else, and people don't know things the way that you know things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I really didn't grasp that until I got older, and it was like, oh, not everybody's like this. Okay.
That's pretty funny though. I bet you she never forgot you.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Before I forget, Do you have a story about a guardian angel helping you with some health issue or something, correct?
Excuse me, not necessarily a health issue. I've had guardian angels that have saved my life several times.
Okay.
I'll give you one example that this was not necessarily life-saving, but it was would definitely have saved me from accident or injury. There was friends of mine next doors to my parents' house, and I had moved back in my later teenage years. I'd been out for a while and then moved back home. And our neighbor had gotten dementia. And, excuse me, he had, I was the only one that could come over and handle the guy. He would like take his cane and swing at his wife, and he would swing at imaginary people and swing his cane at other people. And I could come over, he'd calm down, he'd talk to me, I would shave him, I would do stuff like that. So I did little chores for him, little odd jobs around the house and things. And I have to say that I've had bizarre, weird health issues, multiple chronic, severe health issues since I was a kid. And I've always striven to overcome those.
Yeah.
And when I could, and when I had good days, I was very active. I lifted weights, I ran, I played tennis, I swam, I did martial arts, I did all this kind of stuff. And I was very, very good at martial arts. So, good days, bad days type scenario. And when I had good days, I would do as much as I could, keep myself in as good a shape as I could. So they asked me one day to come over, and she said, I have this chore, and she said, I can't do it, and I've got to watch him, and can you come over and hang these new drapes in the living room, these new curtains? I was like, sure, I'm happy to. So I came over, and they had a little step, had like 3 or 4 steps on it, and to reach up and get the curtain rod down, the old curtains down, the new ones up, I had to up the step ladder. And that was no big deal because I had good balance. And so she said, okay, on the other side of the house, they had this den, and he was in there, and she said, okay, you do this, let me know when you're done, I'm going to go keep an eye on him. And I said, okay. And no one else in the house. And so I get up on the step ladder, and I'm doing the drape. I'm just about getting to the point I'm about to finish up. And completely uncharacteristically of me, I lose my balance and begin to fall off the step ladder.
Oh, wow.
And with my martial arts training and everything that I could do in spinning kicks, flying kicks, all this stuff, and I've studied judo, I absolutely knew in a split second's time that I had this completely wrong. As I started falling, I was going to rotate my upper torso back the other way just a tiny bit from the way I was falling. I was falling back into my left. So I was going to rotate my torso just to the right, just enough to kind of like a counter spring where I could spring back then to the left. And as I fell, I was just going to go with the fall off the ladder, rotate, pull my knees up, put my hands out, and catch myself as I fell. And I knew absolutely 100% I could do that, and I'd be okay. I wouldn't suffer anything from the fall. So as I begin to turn to the right to spring back to the left, this big, strong hand comes up and pushes against my hip, my lower back, and pushes me back straight upright on the step ladder, holds me steady until I get my balance again. And I went, oh, thank you. And I turned around and looked, and not a soul was there.
Nobody was there.
Nobody was there. And I knew that it, she was a little diminutive woman, so obviously couldn't have been her to begin with. And I knew that he couldn't have come into the living room. It was a large open living room, and done that, and a split second later vanished, gotten back into the den. But nonetheless, in spite of having all these paranormal experiences up till then, I ran through the house real stealthily, and there they were, sitting in the den. He was watching TV, she was knitting or doing something or whatever, and I was like, wow. So I walked back in, got back up on the ladder, finished the chore, and I told him, I said, I don't know who you were, but thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And I kept kind of looking around to see if they would make a physical appearance, but they never did. But I absolutely, totally, completely, physically felt that hand, and it literally stopped my fall, pushed me back upright on the ladder, and held me till I got my balance back.
That's pretty cool.
So guardian angels are real, and they do physically intervene.
That's pretty cool.
All I can think while you're telling me this is your spirit guide or guardian angel or whatever is so much nicer than mine. because mine would have let me fall and stood there and laughed at me like, Girl, did you not know that you were going to fall off of there?
Oh, that's funny.
She would, though.
I know, you tell me all the time. You tell me this stuff. Since we're on this, Darren would like to know, do you think... Sorry, I'm still laughing. Darren would like to know, do you think your spirit guides change from time to time, or do you always have the same one?
I think it's both. I have kind of this familiar retinue of spirits on the other side that I affectionately call the guys. That's my umbrella term for everybody on the other side. And I know that a lot of those have been with me since I was a child. And then periodically, there are some new ones that do come along. They pop in for whatever reason. It's kind of like, okay, we're here to teach you this or show you that or whatever, or see what you're doing, monitor you, or just, hey, we're here. And then they're there for a while and then they go. But so it's both. And for me, for the most part, most of the guys have been there with me for most of my life. And it's a great familiarity and a great comfort that I know that they're there, that they watch over, take care of me, help me, and so on and so forth. But it is both, and I think it's that way for everybody, actually.
I think I've heard before that you always have one. I don't know if it was you, Kelly, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but they always have that one main one, and then others will come and go as you need them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm sure there's titles for what those other ones are, but I always call them the reserves.
Yeah.
They come in when you need the extra strength or the extra guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. She calls them reserves. You call them the guys. See, everybody has their own little names for them.
Oh, I call my names.
And I think that in reality, we don't actually know what to call these beings. I mean, we give them all these different appellations and things, but I don't think we actually know. And people are always hung up on, what's my guide's name? What's my guide's name? Well, your guide may not have a name, may not want to tell you a name, maybe a name you couldn't relate to or understand. So, sometimes they do tell you, sometimes they don't. And I've got a lot of them there that I know who they are, and I recognize them, and they're familiar, but they don't give me any kind of specific name or any kind of designation, anything to call them. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to have a designation for everybody. You can just know that they're there.
Well, it's like we were saying earlier, us as humans, we just always have to have a name and label things. I think it makes us more comfortable.
Yeah.
It makes us...
more in control or whatever,
something more comfortable.
And it's true. We have to have a label for everything, and it's like, get rid of the labels. Some things just are,
Yeah. Yep. Darren has another question. Darren is our question king. Just so you know.
There you go.
He's in every chat, and he always keeps us busy with questions. Good questions.
It's awesome.
Yeah. What are your views on aura and palm readings, and how accurate do you think they are?
Well, they can be very accurate if the person is accurate, if the person doing them has that gift. First, you have to have that gift to be able to do that, and then you have to train that gift and become proficient in it. So if you're proficient in that, it's just another tool like anything else is, like tarot cards or anything else. I read auras. I haven't done much palm reading. I know the basics of it. I can do it, but it's not something that I'm attracted to, so I don't do a lot of it. But any spiritual tool or technique can be accurate and can be useful if you
have the right person.
If you have a gift for that technique, that's a gift that you have, and if you diligently practice it, learn it, and work it, and endeavor to get better at it. Yeah. Spiritual gifts are just like physical gifts. If you don't practice them, if you don't use them, if you don't study, if you don't learn, you don't maximize them. So any gift can be accurate if you utilize it properly, and if you have a drawing, if you're drawn toward it to begin with, if that's your gift to begin with, absolutely it can be accurate.
Yeah. And everybody's gifts, everybody has different gifts, whether it's psychically or otherwise, and some people are stronger. Sorry, Kelly, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, is there any gift that you don't have that you're like, damn, I wish I could do that?
I haven't encountered anything that I can't do yet. I wish I was stronger in healing. I have successfully healed people, but I wish I was stronger in that, because so many people are suffering in pain and need, and I wish I had a greater ability to alleviate that suffering. And that's one thing I wish I could do better.
So I have a follow-up question. When people speak of healing, do they mean, like, is it a form of Reiki? Is it the same thing, or is healing and Reiki two different things? I really don't know.
Well, Reiki is a form of healing. It's a technique, a study, a school of healing. Like, it's just a particular school of thought on healing. And there's lots of different schools of thought on healing. And so what you have to do is find something that speaks to you and makes sense for you, and that you feel like you can exercise in a meaningful way. And so that's why it's important not to get caught up on labels and say, oh, this technique's right and that one's not, or this works and this one doesn't. Well, you have to find out what works for you. There's going to be some things that are more attractive, more appealing, make more sense to you than other theories and practices do. And you have to figure out what that is. You have to find that, and then that'll be the thing that you work successfully with.
And I think it's kind of like, I totally just lost my thought.
We are on a roll tonight.
It was there, and then I read Darren's next question, and it was gone. So it'll come back to me, and I'll spit it out like I'll just scream it at you guys. It's because I remembered. Sorry. It's completely gone.
I'm used to it. John, you're also a paranormal investigator. Do you use like tools that I would use, equipment that I would use, or do you just use your psychic abilities?
Mostly I just use my psychic abilities, because I found that for me, science has a long way to go in catching up with the paranormal. And no scientific tool or technique is going to outpace a really good psychic or really good medium that really is tuned into the other side. So when I do paranormal investigations, I mostly rely on myself. I'm not adverse to using, for example, I do EVP, I do spirit photography, things like that. I have a ghost box. But those things are so limited in their communication, and I hold complete two-way conversations in my head with spirits. So why would I rely on a ghost box and get a phrase of 3 words when I can go into a place and connect with a spirit and hold a complete conversation with them? And so for me,
Yep.
Which I wholeheartedly agree, because that's the same for me too. But do you find that people believe it more if it's backed up by the equipment, and or that it adds more validity if it's coming from something besides just you? And I'm saying that, let me clarify my question, just so you say, don't think that I'm like calling you a fraud or anything. But
no.
Honest to God, I could walk into any place and say, well, I see this old man here and he's saying this, and I could just be pulling crap out of my butt.
Right.
And I'm sure that there's people that do that, but when you get the message and you can back it up with the equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The thing that has been really good for me is when I have done paranormal investigations, and I've done that from strictly a psychic perspective, I've picked up on things that people knew, that the history of the people that were there. I got names that they were able to validate. I got events that they were able to validate. Mm-hmm. So by virtue of the people having that knowledge of that area or of that history of the people that were there, and me not having no way to know that, and then when I came and got that, they were like, okay, yeah, this is the real deal. But that can be a valuable addition to that. And I'll give you an example of, like my TV producer told me one time, he said, get some EVP and let's use that and some of our pitching that we're doing for this TV show we wanted to do. And I said, well, to me, that's a regression because of what I just told you all. It's like I get these complete conversations with spirit in my head. And he says, yeah, but the TV viewer doesn't. And they're not going to understand that. But if they hear the EVP, they're going to go, oh, wow, there's something I can hang my hat on. So it kind of gives them something that, for somebody that's not experienced or that's kind of on the fence about believing, gives them a little something they can hang their hat on.
Well, and the other thing that I get told when I'm out on the investigations and stuff is I I am having that conversation, but first off, they can only hear one side of it because they can only hear what I'm saying. And
Right.
that's if I remember to say what I'm saying out loud, because I don't
Right.
even have to say it out loud.
Correct.
And so I get called out on occasion. They're like, hey, you want to share the conversation with us? It's like, oh, yeah. Well, here's what I'm saying in whole, and here's what they're answering, So
Right.
it's just funny. Or I'll say like half a sentence, or I'm mid conversation through somebody and I just throw out this random sentence and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, I've been talking to him over here.
You did that. She did that to me at Saks Bridge.
Yeah.
It just all of a sudden started talking, and I'm like, I realized you weren't talking to me anymore.
The funniest is when I do that and somebody starts answering me and I'm like, shh.
Yeah, I think I started to on the bridge. I'm like, what? Huh? Yeah. Yep. It's too funny. Yeah, speaking of, you filmed a pilot for the History Channel, didn't you?
Yeah, I did film a TV pilot for the History Channel. Unfortunately, it didn't air, and we don't know exactly why that is. I have a few theories, but unfortunately, it didn't. And I think, honest to God, I think it would have set the bar for all paranormal TV shows to come. It was done so well.
That's probably why it wasn't aired then, because you did it right.
Yeah, and we, excuse me, we were the first, I believe, to use the FLIR camera, forward-looking infrared radiation. A lot of people do that now, but I think we may have been the very first ones to do that in an investigation. And we got on film with the FLIR, we got a spirit walking through me as I announced that there was a spirit walking through me. And we got that on the FLIR. So
Nice.
we got a lot of paranormal manifestations, both audio and visual. We got a lot of things that I picked up on psychically that we were able to validate, that even after the show they were able to go and research and prove that I was correct. And so it was a really marvelous experience, really great experience. And then it didn't go to air, and so we were all really disappointed because I really think it would have been something phenomenal.
Yeah, I probably sounded like a smartass, but I have a feeling if it was too, like I said, if it's done too good or done right, they don't always want that. They like
They want the sensationalism.
Thank you.
Exactly. Put the butts in the seat with something melodramatic.
Yes.
And I have talked to a lot of people that were either talent in some of the paranormal shows or in production behind the scenes in production of the paranormal shows. And they were saying that a lot of the things were faked, a lot of the things were phony, a lot of the things were made up, and that the producers would sometimes ask the talent to, have this dramatic reaction or scream or cry or do this or do that. And so a lot of these shows, people have to realize it's not about serious investigation. It's not about getting the truth out there.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. It's getting somebody to tune in next week,
And it's so frustrating because you're asked to be a part of some sort of filming and you go in and you do your honest thing, and they have other psychic mediums that they've brought in or other paranormal investigators, and because you did it legitimately and there's nothing there that's terrifying or dare I say demonic.
There you go.
When they actually release it, you're basically
you're
cut.
not there.
And it's like, wait a minute, guys, you asked me to be a part of this. I gave up a day. I traveled to you. It's like,
Yep.
I don't charge to do that sort of stuff. And it's like,
but Kelly, you didn't find a demon behind every bush, so
I know.
your part's cut.
well,
It's the Bacon effect, as I call it.
I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with me because I just haven't found one yet. So I don't know.
Me neither.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, before I forget, I'm excited.
Well, okay. I'm
No.
Yay!
I'm excited.
John's a paranormal investigator. We get to play this or that. I haven't played in months. It's end of season 3, so we got a paranormal investigator. Sorry. I
don't want to forget. I'm excited.
I don't want to forget you. My excitement comes and goes so quick, it throws me off. Oh, yeah,
I love you, Shay.
Oh, I know. What was that, John?
Okay, so are we playing this or that then? Is this where we're heading?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Because we got about 10 minutes left. John, I have a game that I play with paranormal investigators, but I haven't had one on in a few months. So it's very easy. I'm going to give you 5 or 6 different questions. It's just you choose one or the other. And we like to say there's no right or wrong answer, and we don't judge you, but we're silently judging you.
But
we won't judge you audibly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's go.
Ready? Okay.
Yep.
Just answer quickly, whichever one, your top choice. Ready?
Okay.
Investigator or hunter?
Investigator.
Data or evidence?
Evidence.
Provoking or no way?
No way.
Residential or commercial?
Both.
Orb or just dust?
Sorry?
Orb or dust?
Mostly orbs.
Recorder or video?
Recorder.
All right, here's the big one. Is it a demon or just an asshole ghost?
Just an asshole ghost.
See? There you go. Not that hard, huh?
Not that hard at all.
I love playing that. I haven't got to do it so long. Sorry.
She gets excited about it, obviously.
I love it.
Yep. I just got excited. The noise finally went away and I could think again.
There you go.
It wasn't me. I turned off all my noise. It's quiet here.
I do have to tell you that a lot of times my guys will interfere with electronics. So
it's only when you're talking. So
I'm sorry?
It's only when you're talking. So that could be it then.
Yeah, my guys mess with stuff a lot.
Sorry. I just got a little burst of energy there that,
There you go.
Oh, man. All right, we have a running question. Darren came up with, and he asks in all the shows.
Okay.
What is the one object in the whole world you would never want to be haunted?
Can I say that?
You can. These are explicit.
There is nothing that would shock us at this point.
No, you should. No.
Well, there's a certain personal body part I wouldn't want to be haunted. That would be pretty gruesome. So I guess I'll have to go with
they
that.
already had a mind of their own. So.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the first time we've had the male version of that. We have had a woman say that for the female version of that. So
they don't want their lady bits to be haunted. Yeah.
The best answer was on Kim and Allison's show when they asked Michelle Bergenier, how do you say her name, from Paranormal State?
I can't remember.
And she got so thrown off, she yelled out, "Butt plugs!"
Yes!
Oh, that's terrific. I love that.
Yeah.
Think about it. If your body just like started talking to you, like all of a sudden it's like and saying things that you know.
Yeah, that would be a little scary, yes.
I can see it now. In a few months now, because of John, people are going to be, "Honey, I didn't cheat on you. It was haunted."
Yeah, there you go. It was possessed.
Possessed.
It wasn't me. It did it on its own. I had zero control over it.
It was a demon.
Yeah. Oh boy, this was fun.
We just created an entire world of adulterers with an excuse.
Oh, we
Good
did.
Job, Shay.
We did. Oh, yeah. Yep, leave it to me. Before I forget, I do want to mention, so your books are Writing with Ghosts, Angels, and... Wait a minute, I messed that up. Writing with Ghosts, Angels, and the Spirits of the Dead. You have another one also, right?
Yeah, Knock in the Attic.
And your third one's coming out soon. Where can people find these?
You can get my books anywhere online. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, small mom and pop stores online carry them. Even Walmart carries them online.
Nice.
So you can find them there. If they want more information about what the books are about and links to purchase them at Amazon and etc., you can go to writingwithghosts.net or knockintheattic.net. And I have a website for each book, and that'll give you information on those. And for people wanting to know more about me, go to johnrussell.net, and you'll find out more about me and my readings and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Since you just gave all that, do you want to throw out any other social media you might have? Where can people find you, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Do you have any of that?
I'm on Facebook and Twitter. I've got links for those on my website on johnrussell.net. The links for those are there, so they can find me there, follow me there. And I also have a YouTube channel, and there's a link to that on my johnrussell.net as well.
Awesome. I shared on Paranormal Buzz Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram your page info already, so I tagged you in it with it. So,
thank you.
Anything else you want to add before we go? We have a couple more minutes. Is there anything we didn't touch on because we were having so much fun? We kind of.
Oh gosh, there's so much. There's just so much to cover. I think that the one thing I would like to convey to people that the paranormal absolutely is real. That it's not this dangerous domain full of demons that the popular shows have tried to cram down our throats. The purpose and the reason for connecting with the spiritual realm, with the realm of the paranormal, the psychic realm, is to find things to help us, to heal us, to help us to advance our lives, to try and bring some peace on the earth, to try and do some positive things.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for this whole thing, that we do this. And our message at this stage of the game has to be, we need to come together, we need to get rid of the labels, we need to get rid of the schism, division, and we need to come together and find out ways to love each other, to work together, and to harness our power together to overcome some of this evil, some of the problems that are in the world right now that we face. And it can be done, but we have to get together and be willing to put aside our egos and work together to do it. One of the things I've seen destroy so many really good groups and positive groups is that one person decides, well, I need to be the leader, or I need to be in control, I want the attention, or somebody will bring in, oh, have you read so-and-so's book? Look at this technique, we've got to do this. And that usually destroys a group and takes it down. So if you've got a good group, you've got people that are relatively ego-free, and you can get together and meet with a common goal, healing for people, healing for the nation, sending positive energy out, and you find a technique that everybody is comfortable with, stay with that, work with that, and just keep doing that. And that's the hardest thing there is to do because of human nature. But that's what we have to be working toward.
I like that.
And stop opening the damn Egyptian tombs.
And stop opening those damn Egyptian tombs.
Yes, definitely. Man, I'm going to start blaming everything on Egyptian.
I'm telling you.
Exactly.
Telling you.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, IRS, I couldn't send in my tax check because somebody opened another one of those damn tombs over there.
Nope.
Kelly McCarville said so.
Yeah. Don't give my name. I like to slide under the radar.
There you go.
John, I would love to have you back sometime. This is the end pretty much of season 3 for me. I am doing some pre-recorded shows, so if you didn't get to touch on anything and you want to do a pre-recorded show with me, just you actually have my phone number. Just reach out to me, text me, email me, and
Absolutely.
we can set it up for sometime this summer. I'm just doing a
Great.
few, but I would love
Absolutely.
to have you. I really appreciate you coming on and rescheduling last week. It was a lot of fun. It was a great way to
guys,
end
I've
this.
enjoyed it. I appreciate being here. It's great to meet you both. It was a lot of fun, and appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate the great questions, and we will absolutely do it again soon.
That sounds awesome. Guys, in chat, or if you're listening later, Kelly and I just really, really appreciate all the support we've gotten over the past almost 3 years now. Actually, longer if you wanted. 3 years on this network, but it will be 3 years this fall, so that's crazy. But yeah, you guys have been there for us, and we appreciate it. Whether you're in chat, not in chat, whether you're listening later, listening live, we really appreciate it. And I don't know, anything you want to add?
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's a pleasure being able to do the show and being able to come on. And it's funny because, Shay and I both have experienced where we can be having just a hell of a day and not be in the mood to do it. And we're so exhausted, and we get on here and we start doing the show, and, it's like being around good friends and family with all of you guys. So, and we end up feeling better when the show is done. So yeah, definitely just a huge thank you for everybody who continues to support us, everybody who continues to support Shay, because I can't really say us when I'm there about half the time. But,
it's both of us. Stop it.
I show up sometimes.
And
on
thank
occasion.
you. Speaking of, thank you to the fill-in co-host, Darren, Rebecca, Chris Brown, who's done a lot. I couldn't do it without Kelly by myself.
She needs a keeper. This is for sure.
Keeper. So I appreciate all the fill-in co-hosts that have helped this year too. And on that note, guys, have a great weekend. And Kelly and I will be back live in September. So watch for us then.
But you guys can't get away from me completely. Be sure to keep tuning in to the Traveler's Moon podcast every other Wednesday. We just had a show this Wednesday, so our next one is June 2nd-ish or something
June 2nd.
like that.
It is June 2nd.
All right.
You need to keep it too. Yeah, I'm still doing the Sunday show and the once a month Monday show, guys. It's just a show that's not on. So be sure to check out Paranormal Buzz Radio for all the updates on all the shows that are going to be starting back up soon here. And have a great summer.